Hey guys, what's going on? It's Andrew from AR Media. In tonight's video, I want to go over the fate of the Furious in 4K Dolby Vision and HDR10. I was super pumped to pick up this disc. I gave it a watch last night, so I want to give my thoughts on the movie itself, the picture quality, and if it's worth the pickup. Let's get to it. So I gave The Fate of the Furious a watch last night, and overall, if you're familiar with the series, you know that they strayed away from the car-specific genre like the old movies are, and now really they're just balls-to-the-wall action movies, and I'm completely fine with that. I honestly loved the last entry, Furious 7, and I really like this entry as well. I think the acting was done very well. I'm not going to go over the movie in great detail because this is something that if you're a fan of the series, you already saw this, or you're definitely planning on seeing it. I don't want to spoil anything. I just want to say the performances are very good. You do feel that Paul Walker is missing, but sadly there's nothing that we can do about that. And that's really all I'm going to say about the movie. Now let's get to the picture quality. Now this is a reference quality transfer, 100%. So this is a 2K digital intermediate upscaled to 4K. Surprisingly, I honestly was so convinced this was a 4K digital intermediate. After looking it up on IMDb, it's actually a 2K digital intermediate. I watched this in both the HDR10 and the Dolby Vision version. First, I'll just go over the 4K aspects itself. So the uptick in resolution brings a strong uptick in detail. Now I'm talking about razor sharp detail here, where you can see every pore, every individual hair, where the actors would actually be angry when shooting the movie because of how perfect their skin must look. This was shot all digitally, so there is no noise in any of the images, and overall it just gives such a clean image. Now on top of that, the depth in this is very, very dramatic. As you know from the last Fast and the Furious movies, they all show dramatic landscape shots. So the opening shots in Cuba, I believe, or Colombia, I forgot where they are, and the opening shots, really all the opening landscape shots shows tons of layers and tons of depth. So now let's get to the HDR10 aspect. So HDR10 on this was very good. It popped off the screen. It was super vibrant. And that's really what I'm going to say compared to Dolby Vision. I found the HDR10 was really, really bright. The colors on the cars, the reflections on the cars, the skin tones, everything was bright. It was really nice to look at. It didn't feel like it was oversaturated, but it definitely popped off the screen and was super bright relative to the rest of the image. Overall, the HDR was fantastic. The grading, I mean, this is a pretty colorful film, and all the colors pop, and they shine, and the cars as they're moving. I mean, my white WRX is in this movie, and I love watching that baby on my OLED, and there really is nothing else I could say about the HDR content on this disc, besides that this is reference quality HDR. It pops, and it is bright when it needs to be. Now let's get to the black levels of the HDR, and this is something actually that surprised me. Was there's actually a good amount of dark sections in this movie, and I'm not really dark, but just not extremely well lit, and the HDR10 makes it very easy to make things out, and very easy to see the shadow detail, and the black levels are very inky. Now to get to the Dolby Vision. I watched the Dolby Vision first, and I gotta say, it blew me out of the water. Now, the difference between the Dolby Vision and the HDR10 on this transfer, more specifically than, let's say, Power Rangers, is that the colors they don't pop as much, I'd say. They come off the screen just as much, but they're not so obsessively bright where you could point it out compared to the rest of all the images on the screen. It's more just a perfected color. The Dolby Vision disc just produces the color better. So all the cars and all the sunlight and the shimmering and all the things I mentioned are just as highlighted, but they're just a little more nuanced, a little better. You can see a little more detail within the color, a little more shading within the color. When the sunlight's reflecting on a car, you can see a little more variances in the color based on the sun. And that's really what Dolby Vision brings to the table. The second big advantage on this transfer that Dolby Vision brings to the table is on those darker scenes. What I noticed when I was watching the Dolby Vision copy is that they were brightened up, and I could tell a lot more detail. So for example, there's a scene where Toretto busts through a wall in the middle of a meeting. I don't want to do any spoilers, and it's pretty dark, and all the lights go off, and on the Dolby Vision you could see a nice amount more detail than you can on the HDR10 disc. So anyway, guys, that's really it for the Fate and the Furious. This is a highly recommended disc, a must-own in my opinion. But I just want to say one last thing. I just actually want to dedicate this video to one of my subscribers. He wants to remain anonymous, but he wrote into me. His father figure passed away about a year and a half ago, and his father figure is really into this movie. So I just want to dedicate this to you, and overall let you know that I'm thinking about you, and that actually, as sad as this is my stepfather, I'll dedicate it to him as well. He passed away a year and a half ago, and he was a huge fan of the franchise as well. So this video will go out to them. I just want to dedicate this to you. You know who you are, and I wanted to thank you very much for watching. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching today. I hope you liked this review. Post any questions you have down below about Dolby Vision or HDR10, and I'll be glad to answer. And please subscribe for more content in the future. Have a good night, guys.
No.